Hey guys, in this video I'll be reacting to controversial rap lyrics part 1 to part 4. Let's see what this video is about. Let's go.
This is CDTV Productions. Let's take a look at these lyrics.
Probably finna make you mad. I'm steady waiting for the day I get to see his ass and give him proof from the barrel of a black gorilla. And that's real from the motherfucking bush killer.
Yeah, lines about murdering the President of the United States at the time definitely qualify for this list.
Crazy. I don't know if you can get arrested for such thing, but anyways.
Of the lyrics there, but as the song name implies, the whole thing is about Paris imagining how he would take out George H.W. Bush if he could, due to his frustrations with how he felt black people were treated by his administration. Something that is also depicted on the remastered version of the album cover that this song comes from. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the hardest presidential assassination anthem that has ever been released. Paris's record label at the time, Tommy Boy Records, wanted to release the Sleeping with the Enemy album that this song comes from, but their distributor, Warner Bros., wouldn't allow it to be released. This ballsy man Paris wanted to drop the album with this song pre-presidential election in 1992, but due to the circumstances with Warner Bros., that didn't happen. According to the man himself, Warner Bros. Allegedly paid him 6 figures because they didn't release the album, and Paris used that money to fully set up his own record label and release the album independently in November 1992, post-presidential election. And hilariously, when Bill Clinton was elected over George Bush Sr. in the 1992 election, Paris was quoted as saying, "I'm optimistic that things will get better and that I won't have to write Clinton Killer." That's one hell of a quote right there.
Out of a 20, fuck money, I don't rap to dead presidents. I'd rather see the president dead.
And here
Hold on, is that Eminem? Because I think I heard a piece of this song in one of the previous videos. Is it for Trump or something? You know what, let me listen.
Have a wholesome like father, like son moment, because Eminem has a lyric about wanting the son of George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush.
So he didn't only have beef with Trump, he also had beef with this one.
Dead. I'm starting to get the feeling some people weren't so fond of this family. This isn't the only anti-Bush line that Eminem has rapped. His song Mosh was a whole rallying cry against his presidency and his continuation of the war in Iraq. But this one caused slightly more of a stir with the implied reference that he wants Bush dead. The song leaked in 2003, the Secret Service became aware of it, and then they considered investigating Eminem because it's their standard procedure to investigate anything that could be interpreted as a threat against the president. A Secret Service official was quoted as saying it would be saying too much to make too big of a deal out of this, so clearly they weren't that up in arms about it. But regardless, when the song officially dropped on Eminem's Encore album as a bonus track in 2004, the word dead in this line was censored by reversing it. I use the word censored really lightly here.
Okay.
I'd rather see the president dead.
He wants the president what? I can't figure out what he was trying to say. Even though this situation didn't end up in an investigation, I still think the fact that they ultimately decided to try and censor it a little bit indicates at least a bit of controversy around this one.
Yeah, and if I ever like I'm going out with my chop, it'd be another Kobe.
I know this song was never officially released, and judging artists on stuff that they said in songs that they didn't actually put out can be a bit shaky sometimes. But with this one, it's just like, why did you even write that down and say it out loud without thinking, nah, maybe not. This is almost as
right. But most of these, I'm like, so you write it, or you had somebody write it for you, and you were like, yeah, let's do it. It's a good idea. You know what? It is what it is.
Offensive as the muse that Meek Mill posts on Instagram. Just having this reference to how an incredibly well-respected icon and his daughter died not very long after it happened is a little bit tone deaf, to say the least. And it was on a song that...
Yeah, and I remember this one also because it was also in another video that I reacted to. And he didn't want to take accountability because he was kind of going back and forth with the fans and all that. And I was like, boy, just say you're sorry and keep it pushing. Like, you're doing too much. It's not that serious. Actually, it is. But, I mean, you're doing too much.
that was partially named after him and dedicated to him. Kobe's wife, Vanessa Bryant, responded to the lyric calling it extremely insensitive and disrespectful, and she also hit him with the "I'm not familiar with any of your music, but you can do better." And after that, plus all the Twitter backlash, I can't see this song ever coming out. Go back to eating that placenta ramen special or whatever that was and rethink this one, Meek.
Got problems. I worship the late prophet, the great Muhammad. Over Atta, boys coming behind. Willing to play with mommy when I was killing the king.
So if you're on the younger side of my audience, you might be asking, who is this Muhammad Amir Atta that Joe Santana speaks of? And why would it be controversial for
I'm gonna keep it real. I don't know who that is.
him to simply look up to and commend his abilities and courage as a pilot? He was one of the 9/11 hijackers. Joe Santana said
Oh.
that he admires the courage of a terrorist who flew a plane into a building, killing thousands of people, because it reminds him of the courage that he had when he was dealing cocaine. What? As is common with these controversial rap lyrics, the rapper that said them doesn't believe they should be controversial, with Jules doubling down heavy and saying, "I'm going to do whatever it takes for my people," the same way as he did for his people. Not that I support him or what he did, but
Boy, you could have grabbed another example. Why did you need to grab that one? And then you're trying to justify it, try to defend it. Some of these people need to find a hobby, honestly. They doing too much.
in order for him to do that, it had to take courage and love for what he believed in. A lot of New York people don't have that. Maybe if they did, something like that wouldn't happen. That last line there, that might just be worse than the lyric itself. This one was another leaked song, and Joe's was pretty adamant about the fact that when this song was officially released on the album that it was slated for, that it wouldn't be changed. Only for the album to drop with this lyric being changed.
I worship the late prophet, the great Muhammad. Ali, for the words he spoke that stung like a bee.
Went from the R-rated version to the Kids Bop version real fast, but I'm
Right.
not gonna lie, these new lyrics are a million times better in just about every conceivable way.
You find a house and scope it out. Find a Chinese neighborhood, 'cause they don't believe in bank accounts.
And finally, we have a line that passed by without that much scrutiny for years after it dropped. You see, the concept of this song is YG and TC4800 painting a picture of how they would rob a house, detailing their thought process behind every single step of it. And the song first gained some mainstream negative attention in 2016 after the attempted robbery of Feng Zhou Chen, a Chinese American woman living in Georgia who killed one of her 3 intruders in self-defense.
Oh.
After that happened, attention was drawn back around to this song released 2 years prior, and there was even a White House petition started to get the song banned that got over 114,000 signatures.
Ooh, that's a
By the
lot.
way, this was past the threshold that it needed to hit to get an official response, with part of the response saying, "The First Amendment protects the freedom of speech in the United States. The White House doesn't make decisions about whether particular songs are available publicly." No further action was taken, but then the controversy surrounding the song resurfaced again in 2021, with YouTube staff calling for the song to be removed from the platform due to the aforementioned lyric and yet another rise in Asian American hate crimes in that year. Initially, YouTube sided against removing the song and the video from its platform, saying that while they found the song to be offensive, it was protected due to an exception for artistic context. YouTube employees pushed back against this decision, and the original version of the song was eventually removed from the platform. Although as far as I'm aware, it was unclear whether this was actually YouTube's doing or if YG and his team removed it themselves due to the controversy. Meet the Flockers was then re-uploaded onto YouTube and on streaming services with the lyrics edited to sound like this.
First, you find a house and scope it out. Find a neighborhood, 'cause they don't believe in bank accounts.
And with this one, I've got to say, I understand both sides of it to an extent, although I don't really think the song should have been taken down. With YG,
I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't really listen to gangster music like that. And especially the Robin music and stuff. Listen, I ain't got time. Like, I don't listen to those type of music. But the ones that do listen to it, like, what's the point? I mean, don't get it twisted. Like, the beat is cool. But the things that people be saying is like, what's your end goal here? Like, come on now.
I don't think he was trying to encourage anyone to do the same. I think he was just using rap as a vehicle for storytelling based on what he knows. There definitely is a discussion to be had around these lines, and I'm not.
Okay, I hear it, but at the same time, you got kids listening to this and think that, oh yeah, I should do that too. You know what I'm saying? At that point, I will get twisted because like, okay, they will try to do it, think it's okay because they hear it from their favorite rapper, and it's like, okay, now you gotta also keep in mind that these people, they don't, even though for you it's like storytelling, for them it's probably like, oh yeah, I should do it too. You know, not everybody mind work the same.
Not saying there's anything wrong with thinking these lines are bad, I just don't think that censoring them is the way to go. Honestly, with every lyric on this list, I don't think censoring them is the way to go. They can be discussed, they can definitely be criticized, but I don't think any of them should be forcibly changed or suppressed, even if they're lines that I don't agree with. But that is just how I
Mm,
feel, so how do you.
honestly, I feel like they need to do what they gotta do, honestly, because the one about killing the president and all that, it's kind of like, okay, come on now. I can see how somebody will actually go out of their way to do that. And you know what? There's a lot of people that's mentally disturbed. So someone that will think that, oh, maybe I should go try this. Maybe I should go do this. So I don't think it's if you think the lyrics are right or wrong. I think it's more the impact that it will have if a lot of people listen to it, or what it will bring. I don't know if that makes sense, but what comes behind it? Because okay, cool, it's the music. For us, it could be like, okay, fine, it's the music, it's whatever, right? But for some people, they listen to this and they be like, oh, I'm trying to do this because this person said this. Again, not everybody here is 100, and not everybody thinks the same. So I can understand why they get banned, and I'm not mad at it, honestly.
Homophobia, racism, ableism. No, I'm not reciting the start of Jay-Z's Monsterverse. I'm talking about the topics that I'm going to be covering today in controversial rap lyrics
By the way, this is part two.
part 2. I've dropped a few videos for you guys lately just reviewing music, so I thought it was time to put out another one of those videos where I talk more about stories within the world of hip hop in the form of some lyrics. Like the first part, any rap lyrics that caused some sort of outrage or ended up being censored are eligible for this video, so let's get right into it. This is CDTV Productions. Embrace yourself for the first one.
From where wisdom flows. Now, Georgie wouldn't lie. For me to choose the path of the gaze, oh why? Call me homophobic, but I know it, and you know it. You're filthy and funny to the utmost exponent.
This entire song was, to put it lightly, a Brumble. Hip hop is no stranger to having homophobic lyrics, but this is an entire song dedicated to saying that being gay is nasty. Hold up, does Hello Yassine have a feature on this? And this one
They
was
say, no offense or not, a lot of people be out here talking about being sauce is nasty, but they be on the DL themselves. Just saying. Just saying.
particularly weird because of who it came from. A tribe called Quest, who are generally known for having more light-hearted, positive music. They just weren't the type of group that people would imagine having one of the most homophobic rap songs of all time. The boomer Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve joke is even within the opening lines of this song. The story of every verse in the song is about a kid named George who used to hang around on the street with his friends and rob mothers, stuff like that, until it turned out that he was something worse than a robber and potential murderer. Gay. Fortunately, it's a song that was never.
Sorry, but the way you say it was funny. You have got to be kidding me. So, being sus or being on the DL is worse than being a murderer. You know what? It is what it is.
Officially released because the record label were the ones that actually had some sense in them and refused to put the track on Tribe's now classic album, The Low End Theory. The song was replaced with Show Business, which was over the exact same beat as Georgie Porgy, but it had different verses from everyone that still wanted to be on the track. That's right, Grand Puba of the group Brand Nubian, who featured on Georgie Porgy along with Tribe Called Quest, refused to rewrite his lyrics for the new song, so he wasn't on it, and he was the only person involved that took this form of protest. Why are these the lyrics that you would stand so strongly behind? However, the actual new song itself, Show Business, is theorized to be partially a response to the record label pulling Georgie Porgy from the record. as it's a song about how shady the music industry is. As far as I could find, none of the Tribe Called Quest or Brand Nubian members have responded specifically to the backlash that this track received. However, on their 2016 album, Tribe did have a song called We the People, and during the chorus of that song, it actually has a line defending gay people and criticizing the homophobia in America. Georgie Porgy was made in the early 90s, so hopefully most of the people involved have changed their views on the subject from then till now. I say most and not all because as recently as 2017, Lord Jamar of Brand Nubian has labelled being gay as making the wrong choice, along with a bunch of other similar comments.
You know what? I don't know what to say, and especially in the rap industry. Listen, when the whole Daddy thing came out, I was like, you know what? I don't put nothing past nobody. Like, this will be out here pretending like they straight, but the whole time, they on the down low, they on the DL, and it's like, sure, live your life. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, I don't judge. Like, to do which one?
Genuinely just watch his Vlad TV interviews, and it's just a treasure trove of homophobia that's pretending it's not homophobia. It's crazy. So I doubt that he was very regretful about the fact that he was on this track. As a motherfucking bomb, Trayvon Martin, I'm never missing my target. Lyric number 2 to fail in the category of what even made you think it was a good idea to say this? Even if it wasn't Rick Ross's intention to make this comparison somehow, it very much sounds like him using the shooting of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin as a metaphor for his own success. Of course, I don't know what his intent was when he wrote it, but just the wording of it, there's no better way you could have put that. The Molly all in her champagne lyric and then this.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't forget that. I wanted to say it, but I was like, let him finish speaking. But yeah, this man out here talking some craziness. I don't know what's wrong with him.
Ross is building up quite the track record with lyrics that cause a stir. Due to the backlash that this line received, pretty much from the second that anyone could hear it, Rick Ross released a statement that was really jumbled and rambly defending the line, saying that I'm never gonna let the world forget that name. In my song Black and White off Mastermind, I say, Trayvon Martin, I'm never missing my target. There I'm reminding people that if you're a black person or a person of any color for that matter in this country, you have to be accurate. Whatever moves you make, stay accurate. If that
Listen,
is what you meant,
it's not funny, but what? So you chose this dude as an example of saying you don't miss your target? In my eyes, there's nothing positive there.
I'm not gonna lie, the line didn't communicate that at all. It sounds kind of like he's
Mm-mm.
making it up as he goes along, and if he
Yeah.
wanted to pay tribute to Trayvon Martin and keep his name alive within a song, saying a one off line like this probably isn't the ideal way to do it.
I agree.
So don't follow me up and down your market. All your little chop suey has to be a target of the nationwide boycott. So pay respect to the black fist, or we'll burn your storm right down to a crisp.
Oh.
And then we'll see ya, cause you can't turn together in the black career. Ice Cube was really one of the kings of controversy in the 80s and 90s with his very politically charged music, and this track is no different. The 47-second long Black Korea from Ice Cube's classic Death Certificate album was one of the album's most criticized moments. In fact, when it first dropped, the original release of this album in the UK didn't include this track or No Vaseline. And I can at least kind of see why it kicked up a fuss. Like, I remember the first time I listened to this, it seemed very intense, even for Ice Cube, with its verse targeting racist Korean store owners. It's very possible that it was inspired by Ice Cube's own experiences, as well as the murder of a 15-year-old black girl, Latasha Harlins, in 1991, just a few months before this album dropped, who was killed by a Korean American store owner who incorrectly assumed that she was stealing. Top this off with the insanely light sentence that he got for the shooting, and you can at least see where the anger that inspired a track like Black Korea comes from. Ice Cube actually released a statement following the track saying, I explained some of the feelings and attitudes of black people today and the problems and frustrations that we confront. And I clarified the intent of my album Death Certificate. It was not intended to offend anyone or incite violence of any kind. It was not directed at all Korean Americans or at all Korean American store owners. I respect Korean Americans. It was directed at a few stores where my friends and I have had actual problems. Working together, we can help solve these problems and build a bridge between our communities. I've got to say, it's a better statement than any of the ones that Rick Ross has dropped. But
I agree.
overall, it's not one that I'm too sure about, to be honest. I understand what inspired the track and the tensions involved, especially at the time, but the track itself does seem to contain a few racist sentiments of its own. Unless I'm missing something, it does kind of come across as fighting prejudice with prejudice.
Yo, space cool look like a UFO. Whoa, smoking on dope. Damn, you caught me on me cause my eye real low. Ching-chong.
Yeah, I remember this one too. Like this boy, I don't know, man.
And here we have a much less intense and much more casual use of racism against Asians from Lillian Pumpernickel himself. This one is just too ridiculous to take seriously, man. It's so stupid that it just sounds exactly like something that Lil Pump would say. Maybe this is why China wasn't on the insanely random list of countries that he's hitting up for his return tour. Genuinely though, I think this is the first time that I've ever seen an artist who used to be really prominent in the US hitting up Mongolia, Taiwan, and Saudi Arabia. Might want to check with your poster guy on that spell check, Lil Pump. All in a single tour. Forget about Pitbull, this is the new Mr. Worldwide. But anyway, back to the lyric. This version of the song never got released.
No
Lil Pump
wonder.
posted a snippet on social media, was very quickly called out.
Yeah, and apparently there was a video where he was also like police I support to this to the song, and I was like, nah, these people need to get something better to do, honestly.
For it, and then when the song did officially drop, make no mistake, the line about his eyes being real low like Yao Ming was still left in there, but it was the ad lib that doubled down on the line that got removed. In fact, there was even a Chinese rapper called Pissy, no comment, who dropped a diss track on Lil Pump because of this line.
Butterfly doors, I'm on Beretta trying to show off. Your head looks like a UFO. Now got that shit, won't need no more.
Pump sadly never fired back with a diss track of his own, so unfortunately we never got to see a transcontinental rap beef before his transcontinental tour.
I mean, that's just me getting started. I'm artistic, you niggas is autistic, retarded. Stop.
Yes, I remember this one also. But eventually he did say sorry.
The reason why this line upset some people is pretty clear once again, with Cole using the word autistic under a negative connotation to basically imply that other rappers who aren't on his level are stupid. The line was originally released completely uncensored, just like how I played it in the snippet before this segment. However, when the song was re-released on Drake's compilation album Care Package in 2016, this line was replaced with a really awkward sounding 2 seconds of silence that just instantly makes you think, oh yeah, this is where the autism line was.
That's just me getting started. I'm artistic, you. Hold your applause.
Whatever your stance is on Cole and Drake removing the lyric, Cole clearly didn't want this to be in the song anymore, as he issued a public apology after he saw the backlash that the line received, saying, last week, when I first saw a comment from someone outraged about the lyric, I realized right away that what I said was wrong. I was instantly embarrassed that I would be ignorant enough to say something so hurtful. What makes the crime worse is that I should have known better. It also included the words, I am sorry, so it tops any Rick Ross statement in terms of...
Yeah, this is how a grown up reacts. You take accountability. But some of them don't know that. Some of these men don't know how to do that.
Sincerity. The only thing that I'd say Cole went wrong with in his apology here was addressing it to the organization Autism Speaks, which is a notoriously bad organization when it comes to supporting autistic people. There's whole YouTube videos about this. The effort, of course, is respectable, but that does make it come slightly more across like an apology to an organization and not more towards actual autistic people. But not everyone is aware of the controversies around Autism Speaks, so benefit of the doubt there. Hey, at least he made some type of effort when he felt like he did wrong.
So yes guys, this was part 2, now we gotta do part 3.
Controversial rap lyrics part 3. As it's the third part in this little series, I'm assuming you guys already know the rules for lyrics to qualify for this video, so no long intro for this one. We're just gonna jump right into it straight away.
That know me best. I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex. Why? I made that bitch famous. Goddamn.
Controversy and Kanye are two words you've probably seen side by side pretty often. And one of his biggest ones, excluding his current controversies in 2022, was when he interrupted Taylor Swift at the 2009 VMAs to basically say, hey look, it is cool that you won the award for best.
Awkward. I will not stop saying it. Awkward. It was so awkward. Like, so unnecessary, uncalled for. If you like Beyonce that much, let the show finish and go to Beyonce. Be like, you know what, honestly, I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't gotta be, you're just embarrassing yourself. Like, you're looking weird. Looking crazy. Like, let her get her win in peace. Like, what's wrong with you?
Best video by a female artist and all that, but personally, I think Beyonce's video was a little bit better. In a sort of like more abrupt way. It was a super awkward moment, but of course, that's just the beginning. Over the years after the incident, Kanye apologized, retracted his apology. There was a lot of drama basically, but then in 2016, he said the line that you just heard from his song Famous from The Life of Pablo in reference to the 2009 VMAs incident with Taylor. And the drama ensued once again. Take a deep breath, boys, because we are about to dive right into this shit. So after the controversy around the line, Kanye said that he didn't diss Taylor, that the word bitch was meant in an endearing way, and that Taylor actually gave Kanye her blessing to say the lyric in the song. Following this, Taylor Swift's spokesperson, which is incredibly difficult for me to say, is something about S's, man. They don't roll off my mouth quite right. Taylor Swift's spokesperson said that Kanye did not in fact call to ask for her approval for the song, but called her to ask her to promote it on her Twitter account, and said that Taylor wasn't aware of the line, I made that bitch famous, but that she also cautioned Kanye against releasing a song with such a misogynistic message. And it doesn't stop there, because
Unbelievable. Because I was about to say, listen, if it was me, there's no way you're gonna talk about me like that and think that I'm agree with it. Like, come on now. That's so disrespectful. Like, be fair with yourself.
then Kim Kardashian came into the fold and seemingly confirmed Mr. Yeezus' claim that he did have Taylor's blessing to say the lyric. And the next day posted videos to her Snapchat story of Kanye talking to Taylor about the song.
For all my Southside niggas that know me best, I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex.
Unlike this close overexposure.
Oh, well this one is I think this is a really cool thing to have.
I know,
Definitely.
it's like a compliment to myself. Yeah, I mean, don't whatever line.
Yeah, but he didn't say the part of the B word. Like, I didn't hear that. So come on now.
It's obviously very tongue-in-cheek either way.
Not sketchy at all that this was an edited down version of the conversation. So naturally, that wasn't the end of it, and minutes after the video went out, Taylor responded, saying, where is the video of Kanye telling me he was gonna call me that bitch in the song?
Exactly.
It doesn't exist because it never happened. While I wanted to be supportive of Kanye on the phone call, you cannot approve of a song you haven't heard. Clearly, there was a couple different viewpoints on what actually happened regarding the famous lyric, but the final twist in the story came in 2020. Just a couple years back. The full unedited version of the phone call between Kanye West and Taylor Swift leaked online, and it confirmed that Kanye made no mention word for word of the I made that bitch famous line to Taylor. In fact, when Kanye told her that the first half of the line was going to be I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex, she sounded a little bit relieved on the phone call, essentially saying, that wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. It would be much worse if you called me a bitch or something.
To all my
Ooh.
Southside niggas that know me best, I feel like Taylor Swift might owe me sex.
I'm glad it's not mean, though. Oh my god, the build that you gave it, I thought it was gonna be like, that stupid dumb bitch. Like, but it's not.
And later on the call, when he did bring up the second half of the line in question, he said that the second half of it would be I made her famous, and not the word that it actually ended up being, which it seems like is what Taylor Swift was actually upset about with this whole thing.
Yeah, and I understand. Do you see how people are? They're so manipulative. Like, look how he trying to make it seem like he got her approval, but he didn't even tell her the whole story. Like, didn't tell her the whole truth.
Now, what if later in the song, I was also to have said, I made her famous? Is that,
Did she say that?
yes, it might have happened.
So, in the end, from what the public has seen at least, it looks like Kanye never gave Taylor the full context of what the line would end up being, and softened it up a little bit on the phone call to make her more receptive to it. Considering all this sparked from an incident that happened like 13 years ago, and it was still being discussed and new information was being revealed about it 4 years after the lyric was said, I think this one definitely qualifies as controversial.
Just been up the block and I'm robbing bitches too. Up the herring bones and bamboos. I wouldn't give a fuck if you're pregnant. Give me the baby rings and the #1 mom pendant.
A line that was censored on the uncensored version of the album that it came from. Yep, it's right at home on here. Gimme the Loot, as you might have guessed from the title, is all about Biggie and a young companion of his kindly asking other people to hand over their possessions, with a gun pointed at them just in case. It's a pretty impressive song the way it's laid out vocally and lyrically, with Biggie voicing both of these characters as they have a little bit of a back and forth. The whole ordeal ends with them deciding to have a shootout with the cops, but as you heard at the start of this segment, the more controversial part of the song came earlier on, when Biggie talked about robbing women even if they're pregnant. The producer of the track, Easy Mo Bee,
Unbelievable.
thought it had been a bit too far in terms of how the public would react to the line, and he warned Diddy, who was the CEO of Biggie's label, Bad Boy Records, that certain groups might boycott the Ready to Die album if Gimme the Loot released on it with no alterations. So by the time it released, they cleaned it up a little bit by simply reversing the word pregnant.
I wouldn't give a fuck if you're pregnant. Give me the baby rings.
And now on Genius.com, they literally have it written out as Tananger. It is interesting though that they decided to leave in the following line talking about Biggie taking her baby rings and her #1 mom pendant, so it's not really any
What? These people, I don't know what's wrong with them. That line is not cute at all.
less obvious that he's talking about robbing a pregnant
Right.
lady. But regardless, it's not all that shocking in my opinion in a storytelling rap track that's about robbing anyone you can to get the loot. In the end, the label just decided to play it safe. Gimme the Loot may not have been controversial for the ending, with Biggie deciding to lob some bullets at the police, but that's okay because we had Ice-T there to cause a bit of a ruckus by doing it a year or two earlier. Now obviously that wasn't a rap song that you heard just there, but Ice-T was most well known as a rapper at the time, so we're going to include it here just for fun. Cop Killer is a song from Ice-T's heavy metal band Body Count, and it's written from the perspective of someone who's been pushed over the edge by witnessing cops killing innocent people and has decided to retaliate against cops. And surprisingly, some cops weren't too happy about it. Some police organizations
Of course.
planned to boycott Warner Bros., the label that Body Count was on, and the President of the United States
Not surprised.
time, George H.W. Bush, indirectly denounced the track and any record label that would release a song like that with its themes. There was even a store in North Carolina that had to stop selling the album because the local police there said that they would stop responding to their emergency calls if they didn't. The drama went outside America.
Hey, no way. Let me get this straight. So you are threatening the community or the people that you will stop doing your job that you get paid to do because of a lyric? Oh, nah. This can be real life. It cannot be.
America too, though, as the police commissioner in New Zealand at the time tried to get an Ice-T concert there cancelled and tried to get the song itself banned as an indecent publication in the country. It was decided that it wouldn't be banned though, so that was cool. However, the shitstorm continued and continued, going as far as death threats being made to Warner Bros. Executives and causing some tensions between Warner Bros. And some of its shareholders, and it eventually ended in Ice-T himself deciding to remove Cop Killer from the Body Count track list and have the album reissued. I even checked on Apple Music and Spotify to see if I could find it now, and nope. Even today, it's just a live version that's on there, but you can't find the actual song. Despite Cop Killer itself not being a rap song, I still thought it was worth discussing here, considering how much, in my opinion, unreasonable outrage it caused in the 90s. How do you want it? First of all, it's an absolute banger, but second of all, it also led to Tupac getting a lawsuit filed against him. You see, the person that he mentioned at the start of that line, C. Dolores Tucker, was a civil rights activist who was hugely critical of gangster rap in the 90s and campaigned against it, specifically saying that it encouraged violence, abuse, and sexism, and perpetuated a cycle of low esteem in African American youth. One of the most notable things that she did in regards to this was purchase stock in Time Warner so that she could protest gangster rap at their shareholder meetings. It's safe to say she was pretty dedicated to the cause, and the rappers making the music weren't too happy about it. So Tupac said this line in 1996 on How Do You Want It in retaliation, and a year after its release, and after Tupac's death, which also occurred in 96, C. Dolores Tucker sued Tupac's estate for $10 million, alleging intentional infliction of emotional distress, slander, and invasion of privacy. However, this lawsuit would fail even after its rejection was appealed, as Tupac's lyrics were considered as opinion and therefore protected from defamation claims. It is worth noting that while in the end the legal case was dismissed, on the version of How Do You Want It from Tupac's 1998 Greatest Hits CD, C. Dolores Tucker's name is censored. Presumably,
I'm not gonna lie, using her name is crazy though.
To play it safe, because I'm pretty sure the legal case was still going on when that album came out.
I ain't said enough to pipe down. I pipe down when the White House is wiped out. When I see that little Cheney dyke get sniped out. Lights out, bitch, adios, good night.
It would be fitting to close it out after that with lyrics from another song that also happens to target C. Dolores Tucker, with Eminem dissing her on here in the most Eminem way possible. I'm going to give you like 3 seconds to guess roughly what he said, and then I'm going to show it up on the screen, and we'll see how close you got. However, that wasn't the most controversial line in the song. That came earlier when Eminem rapped about targeting the White House. A nice little callback to Controversial Rap Lyrics Part 1. The story behind this one is that in 2000, Lynn Cheney, the wife of the Vice President of the United States at the time, called out Eminem directly in a Senate hearing, saying that he promotes violence of the most degrading kind against women, specifically bringing up the lyrics to his song Kill You, which, yeah, it's an extremely edgy song, and I still remember the really awkward experience of seeing it performed live at an Eminem concert that I went to with my parents when I was around 14 years old. But I doubt you could find many examples, if any, of real-world harm caused by it. But to be fair, she also claimed in the same speech that it was no coincidence that the Columbine school shooters were fans of Marilyn Manson, which they weren't. That was a sensationalized myth at the time for people to blame it on, like, satanic music. Of course, the only way that Eminem would fire back is with the lyrics that you just heard, which is direct as possible. And while I played you the completely uncut version there, if you listen to the official release of the song, the words Cheney and White House have been cut out of the verse.
When I pipe down, when the wiped out. When I see that little dyke get sniped out.
I'm not gonna lie. Rap lyrics be crazy sometimes.
Poorly aged
The
rap
last one.
lyrics make
Go to school on a Percocet. Like Juice WRLD, 70 pounds on the private jet.
pump rock x heavy metal, arguably the greatest song of our generation and a defining song in the rap metal genre, officially released this year on Lil Pump's Lil Pump 2 album. But the version that was on there was a new version of the song with the lyrics that you just heard cut out of it completely. And the reason for that was definitely the backlash that Lil Pump received when he posted the version with the Juice WRLD lyric included onto social media.
Mama told me don't go to school on a Percocet. Like Juice WRLD, 70 pounds on the private jet.
Now, if you're not sure about the context of the line, what
Child.
makes this one more ignorant than your average Lil Pump lyric is the fact that it directly references the circumstances under which Juice WRLD died in 2019 in a very casual, sort of flippant way. While Juice was flying on a private jet, law enforcement officers were waiting for it to land at the airport as they were notified that there were likely drugs and guns being transported in the plane. After it landed, Juice WRLD allegedly swallowed multiple Percocet pills in a panic trying to hide them, which led to him having a seizure there and eventually his fatal overdose. Which ties into the part of Lil Pump's lyrics where he says, "Mama told me
That's sad.
don't go to school on a Percocet," right before he mentions Juice. And law enforcement officials later said that they found 70 pounds of weed on the plane, which Pump references after mentioning Juice WRLD. I know Pump's whole thing is saying dumb shit, but this line feels a little bit more controversial, edgy than most stuff that he said in his songs, especially when he started to have his come up around a similar time to Juice WRLD, so obviously Juice's fans were gonna be made aware of this line. At the very least, Pump or someone on his team decided to change it before the song officially came out. And we were blessed with a non-controversial version of the greatest song ever made. Thank you, Pump.
Contemplating, getting bombs away on the game like I'm outside of an Ariana Grande concert waiting.
Eminem is the gift that keeps on giving, so to speak, when it comes to making controversial lyrics lists. This one was from his 2020 album Music to be Murdered By, and it very clearly referenced the 2017 Manchester bombing, which occurred after an Ariana Grande concert. It was obviously a horrible and tragic incident, but this was not outside of the realms of controversy for Eminem. This is a man who had Columbine lyrics on his album a year after it happened. Eminem's whole thing pretty much since the start of his career has been along the lines of words will never do as much damage as people do to other people through their actions, but this line will definitely disgust quite a few people, and that's completely fair. I mean, I'm a big Eminem fan who completely gets what he's going for, and even then, this line came off as pretty dark to me as well. These lines even received backlash from the mayor of Greater Manchester himself, who called them unnecessarily hurtful and deeply disrespectful, and even some victims and survivors from the incident responded negatively to what Eminem said.
Yeah, but honestly, I think Eminem don't care.
It is worth noting that Eminem helped to raise over $2 million for the victims of the bombing in 2017, but it is up to individual people whether or not that makes this line something that they can tolerate. Me personally, I'm not crazy about the line itself, but I really like the song that it comes from overall.
Yo, I'm with that. No, I can freak, flop, flow, fuck up a faggot, but understand the ways names down with titties.
You guys remember Georgie Porgy from the second controversial rap lyrics video? If you don't be shy, you can watch it after this one. Turns out that isn't the only time that Brand Nubian, who featured on Georgie Porgy, have had homophobic lyrics. Sada X is the specific member of Brand Nubian in question here, and surely these lyrics that he had on the song could not be interpreted as anything other than very homophobic, right?
Yeah.
Well, not according to Sadat X himself. In the Genius annotation for this line, which Sadat wrote himself, he said, "At the time, the F word that I was talking about was meant to describe soft individuals." Okay, that would maybe be a bit more believable if you didn't immediately follow it up with, "Don't understand their ways, I ain't down with gays."
Exactly. Man, people, you know what? I don't know if people try to manipulate or whatever they try to do. If that's what you're going for, like, be logical with it. You know what I'm saying? Because at this point, I feel like you're just saying stuff. We all know what you meant, so why are you playing stupid?
Saying that out loud, man, this is what people were just rapping in the 90s. It just makes it sound an awful lot more like this is about sexuality than soft individuals. It is worth noting that this song did drop in 1992, and I haven't mentioned the second part of Sada X's Genius annotation yet, where he said, "As you grow and see the world, your views on life change. I say live and let live," which hopefully means that his stance over the years has changed from what he expressed on this lyric. On top of that, later versions of this song did have these lyrics replaced with different lines, such as on Brand Nubian's 2001 Best Of album.
Respected highly, hi, Mr. O'Reilly. kiss the plaintiff and the wifey.
Now, I decided to include this one not so much because the line itself was controversial, but because it references a controversy that Ludacris was involved in. The Mr. O'Reilly that he refers to here is Bill O'Reilly, a former Fox News host who had his own show called The O'Reilly Factor. And this show is what ignited the controversy with Ludacris. In 2002, Ludacris had a deal with Pepsi and appeared in an ad for them. The ad itself was completely normal and harmless, but Big Bill over here campaigned for Pepsi to drop Ludacris and pull the ad, telling his viewers to boycott Pepsi if they didn't do so. His reasoning for this was apparently to punish Pepsi for using a man who degrades women, who encourages substance abuse, and does all the things that hurt particularly the poor in our society. Remember that he said that because very soon it's going to become pretty ironic. In my opinion, it was a pretty dumb argument, but inspiring collective outrage worked and Pepsi dropped Ludacris and pulled the ad. Now, here's where that irony comes in. Mr. Bill O'Reilly, who wanted Ludacris's ad pulled because he supposedly degrades women with his lyrics, was sued for sexual harassment in 2004, which is what Ludacris made a tongue-in-cheek reference to with the lyrics that I just
So some people don't be making sense. He is not any better.
played you at the start of this segment. And it only continued to get more ironic by the end of 2017 when it was reported that Fox News and Bill O'Reilly had to settle 5 other different sexual harassment lawsuits against him since 2002, paying tens of millions of dollars to settle these lawsuits. The largest one being for $32 million for allegations of a non-consensual sexual relationship. It all ended with Fox News dropping him from their network after they allegedly tried and failed to keep the news of the harassment lawsuit spreading. But hey, it's those Ludacris lyrics doing all the damage in the world.
Right. You know what? I be side-eyeing people. Other rappers that be are talking bad about people that is on the DL, or even the ones that don't like people that's on DL. They say I would be side-eyeing you because why do you have so much issue with somebody else's sexuality? I mean, if they don't disturb you, if they do not try to hit on you or none of that, so why would you have an issue if they just minded their business? Why does it bother you so much? I'm gonna start eyeing you because I'll be like, maybe it bothers you because you like it. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let me keep playing.
World, right?
Why do people push pounds and powder? Why did Bush knock down the towers?
And we're gonna finish with another one that for some reason Bill O'Reilly is involved in again. In terms of chart performance, Why was the biggest song of Jadakiss' solo career, with the concept of the track being him asking many random questions. Why is Jadakiss such a good rapper? Why did they kill Biggie and Pac? Why do rappers lie so much in their lyrics? Why are you even alive? Why did Bush do 9/11? One of those probably stands out to you a little bit more than the others, with the Bush line leading O'Reilly to label Jadakiss as a smear merchant, and even saying that the laws should be changed so that Bush could sue Jadakiss for defamation.
So yes guys, this was the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.